Besides maybe Stephen King, I can't think of another novel source author who also got involved in the series expansion, much less being a creator and showrunner. What was the origin of taking on that challenge? And now that you're in your second season, what has been a revelation for you in regards to the work?
Well, when we started thinking about Dark Matter as a show instead of a movie, because it started off, we thought it was going to be a film.
Okay.
Couldn't crack it as a 2-hour movie.
Interesting.
Sony, I wanted to write the show. I hadn't fully show run something at that point, and my first instinct was, let's find someone to make the trains run on time and do all that. I'll partner with them, write the scripts, and we started having some interviews and meetings. I just couldn't, the more it happened, I just was like, I kind of really just want to do it, and Sony was like, we think that you should do it, and even looking back now, I'm kind of shocked because I didn't realize what I was getting myself into.
I was going to say,
it's just, especially this show. I mean, show writing anything is hard.
Yeah.
But a show of this scope, these actors, just the things that we do, the challenge bar is just really, really high.
Incredible.
And it was a just incredible opportunity, and it's been a wild ride. It's been 5 years just in Dark Matter adaptation land. And I guess for season 2, I think the revelation I had was it's something similar, which I say about my books. It's just because you've done it once well, that doesn't mean that all the same principles just apply. You kind of have to learn it over again. Obviously, there are things that you carry over and certain skills that you get, but there are always new challenges, and each book needs to teach you how to write it, and I think each season, even of the same series, needs to teach you how to run it. You can't take anything for granted.
Well, we learned that from the non-Ian Fleming Bond books.
Yes.
So you have a magnificent cast, both for your original characters and the expanded characters you've created in the series. Since you're a veteran of experiencing actors bringing your characters to life, what kind of feeling does that give you when you know, especially with Dark Matter, that they understand what you were expressing when you first created them? Especially since you're so close to it, man.
Yeah, it's a really beautiful thing to see an actor step into the shoes of a character you've created. And for me, it's not about them doing exactly whatever the character was. I always think of actors have just this essence about them, who they are, beyond the acting of who they are as people. And whenever we're casting, I kind of look for that. I look for someone who there's something about them just meeting them. Their work has to speak for itself. You have to know that they can do the job.
Right.
The best experiences I've had have been. It's almost like the actors aren't acting. It's like they are really bringing a part of themselves to the role as well, and you see their essence as a person reflected in the role itself. Sure. And that's where, and that doesn't always happen. Sometimes actors come in and who they are as a person is utterly different than the role they portray. In Dark Matter, it really has felt like a lot of our actors have brought core components of themselves to the role, and I think that shines through in their work.
Well, since you've had other adaptations and such, were you ever sitting there watching the screening and going, he or she did not understand that what I wrote there, but we move on.
I don't, if I've had.
But you're forgiving. You say you bring in your own thing.
Yeah, no. I at the end of the day, you just hire the absolute best actors you can and trust that they're going to bring. I've been really fortunate in all of my adaptations. I'm trying to think. I wouldn't even tell you if I knew.
Of course.
But honestly, there's not been a major role where I've been really disappointed with what the actor's done.
Awesome. Well, you've had great people doing that stuff, so. Since you had the opportunity to control the direction of all the sequences and character scenarios of the work that you first created as a closed novel, what will the audience experience in season 2 that you think they might not expect? No spoilers, of course.
I think season 2. One of the things I love about season 2 is it opens the aperture of the show.
Cool.
It's not what we fell in love with all of our cast in season 1. Even though season 1 at heart is about Jason Desson trying to get home to his wife Daniela Desson. That's what the show is about in season 1. But along
sort of like the Odyssey.
It is like the Odyssey. It is totally like the Odyssey. That's so interesting. Season 2, it's like we get to follow kind of 3 real character journeys. The Dessons, we get to follow Ryan and Amanda trying to get back to his world.
Plays Ryan is so good.
Oh, Jimmy's amazing.
Yeah.
We get to see what Leighton, played by Dio Akeni, his original intention of this creation was, and then find a way to braid all those together, and with 2 cool standalone episodes, which were a blast.
Awesome. The multiverse is well known in comic books, but you're using it in the realm of science fiction and the psychological ramifications on the multiple versions of Jason and the other characters. Now, what fascinates you about the human capacity to think, therefore I am, and how does that apply to the multiple selves that presumably have other experiences that dictate their psyche and thought process?
Well, in Dark Matter, we're saying, we're buying into the premise that every choice you're presented with, you don't just make choice A or choice B, you make both of them. And so at that point, your universe branches. So there's a version where you talk to me before you talk to Amanda, because there was a moment you're like, they were like, who wants to go first? There's a version where I was like, I went first.
Right.
And that actually, I think that happened, and that branched a different universe. Now that universe could be very close to what we're living now. Maybe it has no real ramifications, or maybe it has massive ramifications. That's one of the fun things to play with. It's like the little domino effect. The butterfly flaps its wings across the world, and we get a hurricane smashing into Florida.
Or Chicago.
So I think it's a beautiful thought experiment. I think that I love that. Yeah. But how do I know that you have conscious thought? How do I know that I know that I have conscious thought.
Right.
I don't know that anyone else
does. Right. And also, have you made a cameo at all?
Mm-hmm. Both seasons.
All right. I'll look for it.
look at episode 7 of season 1. I'm sitting at the bar.
Nice. The story, of course, is set right here in Chicago, and the pleasure for this native is seeing various parts of the city in different realms. Now, given your background, why did you pick Chicago as a setting for Dark Matter, and what is it about the character of the city that makes it malleable as a region for several universes?
I set the book here because I came up with the idea for Dark Matter here with a friend up
Interesting.
I was hanging out with a buddy who's a novelist, a guy named Marcus Saki.
Okay.
And we were at Longman and Eagle.
I know it.
And that's where Dark Matter was really born.
Amazing.
And it felt I had just written this trilogy called Wayward Pines, which was set up in Idaho, very rural. And I loved the idea of it being a more urban setting. There is something, and I don't know the answer to this, but I did feel at a gut level that there's something about Chicago there's something about the inland sea it rests against. There's something about the skyline and the plains to the west that just felt...
You use that a lot in the series, too.
Yeah, it just felt like it had such a strong, recognizable face. For me as a city, it has such a... You just know Chicago. So many other cities in America, they sort of, I don't know, there's a nondescriptness to them, and there's nothing nondescript about Chicago.
Very good. Yeah. So in your journey as a writer, what was the biggest eureka moment as far as a germ of an idea that expanded into a novel? You just talked about Dark Matter. Mm-hmm. And then went on to places of expansion that created your evolution, coming from one simple idea.
Any book?
Any book, yeah.
Yeah. Wayward Pines is probably the most interesting story. Do you know? Are you familiar
I'm
at
not
all?
familiar with it. I did some research on the essence of it. But
it's about a Secret Service agent who goes looking for a missing partner of his in this town called Wayward Pines, Idaho, and then soon learns he can't leave. And it's a weird town. So
I got that.
So that story came from a vacation that I took with my family many years ago in a place called Ouray, Colorado, which Wayward Pines is based on. And I was just walking out one night, and I heard, it's a tiny town of 800 people in southwest Colorado, surrounded by cliffs and mountains. It feels very isolated. And I was just walking through one night, and it was very, very quiet, and I heard a phone ring in one house. And a few houses down, I heard another phone ring. It was kind of echoing through the valley. And then I heard a third phone. And I just had this crazy thought. I was like, what if they're calling each other about me? And I was like, what if every phone in this valley started ringing at the same time? And then people ran out of their houses trying to chase me down. I had no idea why they would be doing that, but it was a very vivid, weird, paranoid thought that I just ran with.
Awesome. I'm sure you've been asked this question because of the previous interview. Finally, what do you believe would be an interesting other version of Blake Crouch in the multiverse, and what kind of life would you wish for him?
I think the idea of there's a world where I decided not to get involved with making dark matter. Let someone else do it.
Interesting.
And maybe it turned out to be a completely different kind of show. I think I'm curious. We've gotten the same cast, completely different cast, probably different. Would have been bad, great, better. I don't know. But the point being, I would be just Blake the novelist at home writing books, and so I definitely feel torn between the two sides of my career, because I love writing novels. It's where all of this came from.
Bro, you're so prolific.
I mean, I haven't published a novel in 4 years. But I've been doing this. Yeah. But still, yeah.
Part of your evolution is to get experiences, right? As a novelist.
Exactly. And I'm almost finished with my new one.
Good.
But I definitely feel the push and the pull between the the filmmaker side of my personality and all the rewards of that, but sacrifices that's required. And the Blake, just the novelist, there's a very simple that's a much simpler life in a lot of ways that I sometimes long for.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Stephen King would be proud. This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2026.